Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Magical Coffee Hour. I'm Drake. We go live every week, and if you want to join us live, head over to the Working Dragon Mystic community and join the community. It's a wonderful community. A lot of people sharing information on the occult and their practices and their path, experiments. It's a great community, so head on over there and check us out. That is where you'll find the live. We are live there every week, and we upload the coffee hour to YouTube thereafter. Um, Immortal, hey, good thing there's no commercials here. That is true. There is no commercials over here during the live. That is true. All right, everybody, welcome. Tonight we're actually going to be talking about applying your practice to real life. How would you do it? Are you doing it, or are you just going through the motions? And this is actually an interesting thing that I run into a lot with a lot of people, including myself. I occasionally catch myself falling into the same trap here. And it's something that I think we've approached a time or two in passing, but we've never dedicated a coffee hour topic to it. So I wanted to go ahead and do a little talking about this, get your all's thoughts and opinions while we do. So what does that mean to apply your practice? Well, okay, let's talk about it for a second. Everyone knows that most practitioners have a magical routine, right? And we study magic, we and manifestation and how to shape our lives and our realities as we see fit to better ourselves, correct? That's the premise of it. And practically every practitioner I know at some level has some form of daily practice. The thing is that daily practice is usually they get up, they sit, they go to meditation or ritual, they ground, they center, they shield, they start their day, they go through their day, they may refresh their shields, or they'll have an end day ritual where they'll do a ritual, whether it's the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, whether it's the ritual of the hexagram, whether it's the dragon's flame ritual. And they will go through the motions every day of moving this energy, cleansing their spaces and everything. And that's great, but the question is why? Okay? Why are you doing it? Why are you going through the motions? Are you going through just the motions, or are you actually applying it to what you're doing in your life? And this really kicks up and smacks a lot of people in the face when something happens, right? And usually the big one that I find that pops up is actually illness or some kind of trouble, but illness seems to be the big one. Like, I can't count the number of practitioners I know who will be battling a cold, the flu, a cough, a sinus congestion, allergies, whatever it may be, for months on end before they think to go, I could do a spell for that. They're quick to think, I could do a healing spell for that person or that person or that person. But applying it to their actual day-to-day life is a completely different thing. And in truth, like, I don't get sick that often, and I usually get well so quick that I don't really try to put a lot of thought into me being sick. But I fall into the same pit hole because I do normally get well often, if something hangs on for a while, like, I tend to ignore it for the first few weeks because I'll get over it, that my brain never clicks back in to say, hey, I should probably do something about this, right? So yeah, that's one of the things. And I've realized that for myself and a lot of people, it's because we do start going through the motions, but we're not actively thinking about how we're applying our magics, right? And oftentimes the things we're trying to develop, like the arcane senses, are things that they're really hard to apply to day-to-day life, right? And because of that, it's really hard to actually do the work on a day-to-day, right? The biggest thing that I think most people do outside the daily motions, because there is an argument that those daily motions and that routine is good for you, but by and all, if they don't have a direction, they don't help you in any way. They can develop discipline. Like, you can develop discipline that absolutely does not serve your life. You can absolutely do it. We talk about discipline a lot, but most people don't realize that not all discipline necessarily benefits you. For example, If you learn to sit and meditate for 24 hours without needing a potty break, food, or anything, and you can do this every other day, like clockwork, and you can annoy you like without moving, no nose itches or anything. Great. What does that do for your day-to-day life? Probably cost you a job, honestly, at the bare minimum. Um, so it is a discipline. There's no doubt it's a discipline. It is a set of discipline skills, but how are you applying them to life, right? How are you actually applying it? And the area I think most people do apply magic is in prosperity magic. And I've talked a lot about, applying that in a way that is actually more functional than fictional, or at least functional in a way that you're going to see results quickly and be able to compound and grow those results. But outside of that, what does people do day to day? And I've actually asked a lot of people this, and if it's not money, they're trying to get laid. I'll be honest with you. They're trying to get laid. Some people would say, I'm trying to find a partner. I'm trying to find a girlfriend. And they might be, but if you really talk to them, it's sad to say most of them just want to get laid. So love and money seems to be it. And what happens if you're not really looking for either? You kind of get to a point where it's like, what am I working on, right? That's kind of the thing. Ask yourself honestly in your practice, what are you doing to better yourself and how can your magic be applied to that, right? We got a few people in the community here. One of them is actually going to school to be a veterinarian. Many of you in the community will know exactly who I'm talking about. I have seen them contemplate and think about different ways that they could either enchant their tools or use rituals or energy work to help them in their studies, in their agility for, I don't know what the technical term is, but basically it's like the stitching, the cutting, the medical surgery stuff. I don't know the technical terms, but they've been doing a lot of work and with that, and they've been bouncing ideals off the community. And from everything I've been hearing, they're getting some really great results, right? Now, I wish that was the norm because honestly, when I talk to most practitioners, they will say a prayer, they'll light a candle to a deity, they'll do their morning ritual. But if you ask them what they're doing to improve their life, occasionally you'll see a manifestation board where it's like, I'm going to put my hopes and dreams and the things I hope I get up here. But you don't really see them doing a lot unless it's a lottery magic, which we've talked about before, why lottery magic is really the long shot. And then there's the concept of applying your magic to what you're doing in a way that you're physically working toward it while the magic is also throwing the doors open and helping you get there quicker, right? Those are all concepts that I've found a lot of people don't do. Like I don't know why I get this email. I don't understand it fully, but I mean I understand it. It's just I don't see why it's this very specific. But I probably get 15 to 20 emails a week asking how someone can make a pact or do a spell to become an overnight music sensation and be rich. They want to overnight just bang their music sensation. And anytime I've emailed these people back and I've talked to them, they're not wanting to put the time in. They're not putting in the legwork. They're not doing the recordings or any of that stuff. They're just wanting to overnight be the next big music person. Be honest with you, I don't know who the current big music people are, so I can't go too well from there. But I mean, of all the jobs I'd want, I don't think music would be a job I'd want. I know some people it's their passion, but it's such a very specific thing to keep getting an email about, right? That it kind of baffles me in some ways. And inevitably, when I actually answer the question, they don't like it because I will tell them what they can do with spell working, how they can apply it daily, and how they can put their work toward their recording, and how they can work on their vocal work or, their songwriting. And that's not good enough for them. If they can't just flip it like a switch, that's not good enough for them. Are we also seeing that problem in actual practitioners? I've wondered that. What do y'all think? Seriously, if you got any thoughts in there, put it in there. And again, I do apologize for moving the MCH over here to the community. We have still not heard back from YouTube about any of that. So we are still trying to figure that out. Who knows, next week we might try setting it up and seeing if it will work in both places next week. No questions. All right. So yeah, that's kind of the thing is that we need to think about is how we're applying it, right? And there's so many ways we can apply it. Whether it's through kitchen magic. Honestly, I think kitchen magic is sometimes the easiest area to apply magic in our day-to-day life, because whether it's your morning coffee, your afternoon tea, your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your one meal a day, whatever it is you do, we all have to have food of some kind. And it's so easy to either empower the food, charge the food, select the ingredients around your intent. Or, it's just so easy that that's one of the easiest ways to incorporate it into your day. That's one where I'm actually currently working on a few little experiments that I plan to share with the supporter group at the very least in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I think. But even candle magic. Candle magic is a wonderful thing where you can actually do a lot with it in a practical way. So one of the things that I like to do, right? This is actually one of the candle spells that I still actually use, and it's a little bit ambiance as well as it works, right? And that's anytime I'm researching something, studying something, whatever it is, where I'm wanting to remember it, right? Um, I'm very dyslexic. I'm a bit OCD. Like, I've got all kinds of reasons that studying gets hard for me. So what I will tend to do is I will actually grab a candle and I will specifically charge it. And I usually like to use red candles or even purple candles for this, but often it's just a white tea light. That's all I can get. But taper candles are usually what I buy. I usually buy the long taper candles, and I'll use those. Or tea lights. Those are the two types of candles I use most, except when like pine scented candles go on sale after Christmas. I buy the shit out of those, but I'd use those too, right? So I'm charging that for the very intent and purpose of helping me to understand the material and retain it. And I will keep that candle in my office where I work. And when I'm working, I will literally light that candle and have it burning right here beside me. And yeah, that's one of the things that I do. And I have found that my information retention and comprehension skyrockets when I do that. I don't care if it's placebo. I don't give a hoot. It works, and it's been an amazing thing. And it's just one of those things. And all it takes is me to light that candle to get that up and rocking, and I've got that going. So whether you're in school or what, if you're trying to retain something, it's a great way to do it. You could also shift this. Like, I've experimented with this before in other areas. Like if you like to do crafting, for example, maybe woodworking something. As long as you're not in an area where you're dealing with flammable things that can get in the air and go poof, you could probably do this. Like, I know you can do it with crafting, where while you're working on whatever you're working on, you can have that candle helping you with your craft projects and whatnot. Also helps with overcoming writer's block. There is a time where I was having a complete and other YouTube topic video drought concept. I was just blocked. I couldn't think of squat. And instead of just staring at the computer and thinking and thinking and thinking, I decided I was going to charge one of these candles to help with writer's block, light that sucker, so while I'm in the office, ideas would start coming. And it worked amazingly. Immortal, is there entities that help find lost things? Yeah, there's actually a few of them in the Goetia. I think we've covered a few. I don't particularly know them by name. A lot of people seem to think I have all 72 Goetia entities memorized and what they do. I wish I did. I wish I was that intelligent, but I'm not. My retention. There are entities that do help with that. You could also If you practice dragon magic, guardian dragons are actually pretty good at locating things as well. So I've had my guardian dragons help a lot when it comes to locating objects. So those are ones you could use. If that helps any immortal. I'm trying to think of an entity other than that like I know by name, which kind of sucks. It may seem weird, but I know both Odin and Freya are pretty good at helping you find things. They're really good at finding paths and stuff like that as well, but they're also really good at finding things because both of them with magics and everything and insights and divinations, both of them seem to be really good at that. And I have turned to them dozens of times, to be honest with you, when I've lost something. And that's definitely been helpful. An angel maybe or a saint. I want to say I have heard of one. Give me a second here. That's not a bad question. Let me see what I can find because I know I've heard of one. Find lost things. Usually, if we Google them, we'll find them. Archangel Kamal is one that people say is great for helping find lost things. That's not one that I recall ever working with. Oh, Saint Anthony. That one I have heard of. That one I have heard of. So Saint Anthony is also a good one for helping find lost things. So there you go. Honestly, I need to refresh my saints and angels repertoire. Because yeah, they're a massive category, and they really are. And I think it may seem weird, but I think they're underrepresented. I really do. And I know a lot of people probably are going to, whether they're watching the replay or watching this live, you're going to roll your eyes at me because you're like, with all the love and light people out there pushing it, how are they underrepresented? If you really think about it, when we look at serious practitioners of magic, a lot of them tend to avoid religion and dogma, and because saints and angels do have a strong tie into those areas, they do get somewhat overlooked in standard, basic, practical magic in a lot of ways. And that's honestly, let's be honest, that's the reason I'm not as brushed up on angels and saints as I am some other entities. Because my original practice for the longest time, even though I've path worked with angels and worked with saints, I've never dove into it like I did into other areas, right? And part of it comes because of my history with religion and my viewpoint on religion. And I'm seeing that not just in me, but in others. And it kind of bothers me too, because like I love Archangel Michael. You all know that. Me and him get along great. And there for a while, me and Archangel Raphael, we didn't get along. We had a bit of a weird contention between us, but that also got patched up. And I adore working with him. So yeah, it's one of those weird ones. I want to do more with the archangels. In fact, I'm actually looking at potentially trying to do something similar to the Goetia with the archangels. I know we started one, but I was trying to just kind of mirror it off the Goetia, but the symmetry's there, but it's not there enough that you can just run the same thing. They really need their own kind of series with its own vibe and format, if that makes sense. But yeah, there is definitely one. Is this for you or for a specific person, Immortal? Because I know that, a lot of times, like my family, if I'm telling them I'm praying to Archangel what's and what's, they're a lot more comfortable than I'll say Odin be with you or something. You know what I mean? In fact, most of the time when I'm doing something to help my family, like my family's those kinds, like if you're wishing them well and everything, they don't really care, right? So I will be just like, I'm praying for you. Prayers are with you. They know that means I'm with them. I'm thinking about them. I'm sending that good energy. They know what a prayer is, right? Well, we know that spell work is essentially the mage's version of a prayer. So do I sit down and pray to baby Jesus or Odin or anybody? Not necessarily. I might, but more often than not, I'm doing spell work, let's be honest with you. Those are the things. I lose things a lot. Hello. um, Pro tip on that is someone who has lost a lot of shit and has a lot of friends who lose a lot of shit. And I have spent a lot of time getting entities to help find things. That's why I like Freya, Odin, and my guardian dragons. It's at a point they make fun of me when I ask them to find things. And it's legit. I lose things way too much. But one thing that has helped more than that is actually work with an entity on organization and getting things put away. And for that, I highly, 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 highly recommend Zephyrsil. Zephyrsil is an amazing organizer. Absolutely amazing organizer. So yeah, I would definitely look into taking care of what you're doing before you lose it. You know what I mean? That has helped me more than any single entity when it comes to locating something. You're still going to lose things. Don't get me wrong. You're still going to lose things. And yeah, learning to work with an entity is helpful. Another thing that I started doing when it came to locating items, and this was actually encouraged by Freya, I started actually flexing my scrying skills for location. And that's one of the things that helped me get better and better at scrying. And I'm actually good at locating objects via scrying now. Even though, like I said a month back, maybe a couple weeks, something like that, I saw the item, I saw the location, but due to a misunderstanding in me, I couldn't find it. But so you do still have that issue that you got to juggle with from time to time. So you could apply that as well. Nice little things there to consider. So those people who are here right now, if you can, what is a day-to-day task that you would do? You don't know how to apply magic to, but you would like to. What is it? Let's see if we can figure that out. Because that's kind of one of the tricky things, I think. A lot of people, mundane life is mundane. They forget mundane life is just as magical as anything else. We should be able to apply our practice to anything we do. We really could. Traffic lights, absolutely. That's one of my favorites. Honestly, that's something I do on the regular. I actually use Reho is the one my go-to. The for travel and pathways in the runes, I will golder it. And I used to drive a stick shift, so like even today, like even though I don't drive a stick shift now, my hand still kind of sits over here. I can't take my hand away from there. Upside, I'll still be good when I get it if I need to drive a stick shift again. But I say that because I literally, this would be the hand I would use while I'm driving. So not only am I goldering, but I would actually tense up these muscles and like I'm directly pointing at that light, even though my hand's down here, I'd be pointing at the light. Because when you tense up those muscles and lock them up, it causes a lot more blood flow. It causes a lot more nerves to activate, which causes a lot more ether and energy to be able to flow and be directed when you really lock and tense those muscles up. That's something a lot of people don't do. They want to try and stay all loosey-goosey. Doesn't actually direct it as well. Actually think of it like a water hose with nothing on it. It just kind of goes, and then you put like the nozzle on it that makes it shoot like a fire hose and hurt. That's kind of the difference there. But yeah, traffic lights is a great one. That is one that I remember doing it as a kid. I don't know why. Like me and my brother would have we had these little cap guns. I don't know if anyone ever remembers the little ring caps, the 6-shooter ring cap guns. Those are amazing. I wish I could find some more of them. And we'd be driving around with my grandfather and my dad, and obviously the caps they wouldn't let us have caps in the car after a while. I mean, there for a while they did, but we annoyed them too much. But we'd be like zapping traffic lights with these little guns trying to get them to change. Just silly little things. And of course, when I got to studying magic and everything, I do remember that. And I was like, wonder if you could manipulate that in some way. And I've worked both holding them and changing them. So if I'm on a nice stretch and I can see the lights green, and the odds are this is going to change before I get there because, it's got a good long field of vision, I'm going to start using Reho to keep the path open, right? To keep it open. And I'm going to golder it as I do that. And I do keep my focus. I watch the road. Don't take your eyes off the road. Don't do something stupid, people. And my eyes are open, but I am goldering that. And I have found that more often than not, I get through them. I absolutely get through the lights. And if they're already red, once I notice they're red or they turn, I start goldering. Now, anyone who drives the same roads regularly, you know about how long any regular light takes. You know the timing of them, right? And I get through more lights. I don't get caught by as many red lights, and the lights turn green quicker, oftentimes before I ever get there and even have to slow down. It's pretty handy. I know a few people who do it for parking spots. I don't tend to do this one as much because I actually like parking on the far end of the lot. I enjoy taking the time to walk up to the store. I'm not going to circle a parking lot because I'm lazy. I'm not going to do that. But at the same time, I understand people who do want to try and get a decent spot, and maybe it's just really bad weather. Maybe your mom's with you, she's got a bad foot, something. There's lots of reasons why you could still do it. So I know people who's used it for parking spots. You could definitely use some kind of golder or etherical focus for something like that as well. I know one buddy of mine I do know uses Reho specifically to open pathways to get through the drive-through faster. That one, I can't think of that one without laughing. I really can't. But it makes sense. I mean, really, a drive-through with a line, it's not all that different than a traffic light, really. Hell, sometimes they're worse, aren't they? Like, there's been times I have sat in a drive-through longer than you ever should by any measure of time. So, yeah, that would be a good example of something that you could use it for. Another great place where you could apply it, and this is one that I have done a lot, actually. Whether I'm visiting a friend who is ill, whether it's a family member who's ill, or somebody in my own house, you know what I mean? Anytime I'm cleaning, I am charging the cleaning products for healing, right? I am charging them for healing. So while you're cleaning the house, while you're doing the dishes, I'm charging those things for healing because you're interacting with the environment in your house at all times and the surfaces of your house, right? A lot of people forget about this because they're like, well, I just charge the whole house for healing. Great. You can dust a counter, and by afternoon, it's covered in dust again. Dust is constantly settling. The house is constantly shifting and changing. If the only thing we do is energetically cleanse the environment, it's powerful, it's effective, but it is limited. But if you do that, while at the same time going back behind it with a sanitizer or some kind of cleaner that has an effect, a physical effect, and a physical effect that can last for 24, 48 hours or whatever it may be, that effect will also help the etherical signature of what you did carry over that way too, thus giving you a bit more oomph, if you will. And that's one of the reasons I like doing that. And I especially love it with dishes and stuff because if you literally the soap you wash them in is cleansed and empowered for health and healing, then that just carries over to any time you use that dish, right? Which is pretty neat. And just so we're clear, the way I do mine, I soak my stuff in the sink here and I wash all the bulk of it by hand and put it in the dishwasher, right? I literally charge the dishwashing soap for the sink, and I would also charge the stuff I put in the dishwasher specifically. So I would charge both soaps. That way I'm double tapping, as some people would say. I find that to be a great way to handle that. I know one individual, this was a pretty cool one. I have not tried this. But I got to admit, this guy's yard went from shit to amazing. He was actually charging his lawn tools to help his yard be greener, fuller, um, and to withstand the droughts and everything where he lives in the South, and to, like I said, grow thicker. This is a guy who his yard usually looked like just brown and dust. That's all it was. There's a few little patches of brown grass and just dust. It looked like crap. But he took his lawn care gear and he started charging it. And honestly, he didn't do anything else different that I'm aware of. I've asked him a few times, and today his yard looks like it's maintained by a freaking golf course. It really does. It's amazing. I hadn't thought of it either. The reason I don't do it is usually where I live, most of the places like military housing where we live, either they don't have a yard or it's one of those yards that grows so freaking fast you can't do anything with it. So that's kind of the opposite. Like I'd be having to enchant my tools to stop it from growing usually. But yeah, or it's just like, little backyard with a little, yeah, the grass is maybe the size of a bedroom. So not a real reason, but it is a really cool ideal. And if you extrapolate that to other things, like if you're a woodworker or something, you could enchant your tools to help you either with your craft or with the intent of it. Are you giving this item to a friend for a wedding present? Maybe bless that marriage, bless that union, bless their life, make sure, happiness and prosperity follows a person, There's so many ways that you could apply that. I actually know a few people. This is actually one of the cooler ones I heard. He's a welder, a buddy of mine. He's a welder by trade. And he actually has enchanted all his welding gear, his mask, his gloves, his protective gear. All of it is enchanted for prosperity, up to and including, his torches. So everything he's working with is pumping prosperity into his life. And I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense. And he's like, well, I've done it for two reasons. First off, anytime I'm in that gear, anytime I'm working, anytime I'm putting effort into my job, it's also generating that prosperity. I was like, that makes sense. He's like, also, anytime I'm in that gear, sweating like a donkey in a wool sock, he's like, I know I'm building prosperity. So not only does it actually help with what he's doing, it also helps with his mentality at work. Because when you got a lot of that protective gear on, it can be miserable. But he's gone from miserable to literally grinning like an idiot under his welding mask. Because in the last 2 years that I know that he's been doing this, his actual financial situation has doubled. I want to say tripled, but I know it's doubled. That's insane. That is insane growth. And like I said, he's not done anything else. He's just gone to work like normal. So, that is a very, very practical Meiji application. We got to get creative and we got to start applying it. We got to stop being the people. And I'm talking to myself here, that when we got a problem, 2 weeks later, if some of our colleagues like, well, what spell work have you done? We got to stop being the person who said none. Seriously, if you got a problem in your life, if you got a blockage, if you're struggling with something, if we're practitioners, why are we not sitting down and figuring out some way at the bare minimum to try and use magic? And again, I'm talking to myself because there's so many things in my life where I don't think to apply magic. And it annoys me. Have you ever been looking for something and you overlook, like it's sitting on the freaking kitchen counter, right in the wide open? If it's a snake, you'd have done been dead. You spend 30 minutes looking for the damn thing, and if you finally get up and you're like, screw it, and you throw your hands down, look at the counter, and now for whatever reason you're looking right at it and you just feel like a damn fool. Yeah, That's kind of how I feel when I realize I haven't attempted to use magic. It's that's the same feeling. I don't know if that's the feeling you get, but that's the feeling I get. Um, Nathan, I've been trying to think of how to incorporate magic into purchasing leads, making calls to clients to increase pickup ratio and increase trust and likability in conversations with clients. Just haven't really pinpointed what's going to be best. Um, oh man, that's a good one. So any entity that can help you build trust with an individual is going to probably be a good way to go with that one if you want. I don't know the specifics of your job or something, but if you're doing calls, a few good things that I've done in the past, because I have worked in sales. And I'm actually pretty good. I'm better at in-person sales, but I've had to do phone sales. One of the things that I did do that I thought was pretty cool, and I know a few actual people who do their entire job is based on talking to people. I think it's medical billing and stuff like that. Anyways, they're required to talk to people. Um, they've borrowed this a time or two. Yeah, okay, this will work. So one thing I like to do was make a sigil specifically focused on that, get that charged. Um, and if you got a phone case, literally put it in the phone case so it's against your phone, and then the phone case is there protecting it, so that your phone and that sigil are always together. If you're using your private phone, or if you're using a work phone that you're allowed to put a case on, that's one thing you can do. A simpler way, though, if you want, um, most guys, I think this still works for. We all carry wallets still. I think maybe I'm thinking we still carry wallets. I do. I hope that is still a thing, guys. We still carry wallets, right? The younger crowd, I don't know. But you could easily put that sigil within your wallet so that is affecting you, that anytime you're discussing your work, anytime you're talking to someone, um, it makes them more open and receptive to what you're saying, right? That's one thing that you could do. Um, and if you do it so that they're open and receptive to what you're saying, your work, and I would also incorporate the word trust. Assuming you're willing to tell them the truth, you're not going to lie to them. If you're trying to lie to them, leave the word trust out. Okay, just leave that out. Make them open and willing. I'm not going to get into the ethics of sales here. I was always one. I'm honest about everything. That was me. I'm not going to knock it one way or the other. But that would be my 2 cents on it. You could easily keep that in your wallet so that while you're talking or whatnot, that is engaged. And I would actually um, remake and recharge the sigil weekly. And one thing that I would recommend, Nathan, give this a try. So if you head over to our channel, Working Dragon Mystic, and check out the long-term prosperity spell with the candle. Instead of a prosperity sigil, literally take the sigil you're making for work, and utilize a candle spell for the same thing. So you're doing a long-term candle spell at home, focusing on you generating those leads, getting those clients, making those sales. You got the idea? That's what you see. You want to see you having done it. You're getting the paycheck for having done it, right? That's what you're visualizing when you're staring into that candle. And of course, that candle is also going to be sitting on top of that sigil, right? So that sigil's also being charged for that same thing. Okay, afterwards, you blow when you put the candle out, you push out ether and blow it out with energy. So you're charging it further as you blow out the candle. You set that candle in your working area, put it away. That candle is now going to continue to draw that intent toward you. It has essentially become an amulet that you don't have to carry with you. At the same time, you now have a sigil. I got a box of incense. We'll call this our sigil today. You now have a sigil that was charged during that whole thing that you can put in your wallet and carry with you on your person to further empower that as you go through and as you apply your craft. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So cool. Yeah, absolutely. That is one of my favorite methodologies because now you've got something at home that's pulling that prosperity to you and your home, because your home is also a corner. It is a cornerstone of our etherical being. Our home is. There's a reason home has a feeling to it. So if you have that talisman drawing that prosperity and success to your home, awesome. At the same time, you have the sigil on your person drawing that success and that prosperity to you specifically. And both things are also allowing you, when you are at work doing your job, to generate those leads and get those clients. See, there we go. See, I'm always at my desk and phone. It's always in my hand. So this is going to work great. Yes, absolutely. One of the things I did when I was actually doing that kind of prosperity magic, actually, weirdly enough, it's on my desk here. So this little coin here saved my ass one day, literally. Um, I fell off of something and somehow, some way, all me landed on this coin. It's all cut up on the back of it here. Um, anyways, I carried this a long time for luck, even before I was a magical practitioner. Part of it was, you know, everyone needs a good coin, and it kind of made me think of a two-faced coin because all scratched up on one side, looks decent on the other. And I know you can't hear it, but it has a wonderful sound when you flip it. So I would carry this for luck. And when I was actually doing those sales, I'm a fidgeter. I am absolutely a fidgeter. Anyone who's watched this channel long enough, you've seen me fidget with things on my desk. I would actually charge this specifically to help me with sales. And the whole time I'm on my phone making my sales, I'm also doing this. I am also just totally playing with this the whole time. And the whole time I'm fidgeting with it, the concept of the enchantment is why I'm doing this. It's helping me make sales. It's just constantly, the energy it takes to put this is just constantly transforming that into sales. So I took that fidgeting and turned it into a manifester. And I've actually used that spell a time or two more recently, because even though that one's on my desk, I have other coins lying around. Oh, there it is. When it comes to stress, I always turn to like stoicism and stuff, and I'm reminded of the tenets of stoicism. That's one of the things we talked about in the Mage Minded series already. I actually have a coin that they call them the cardinal virtues of stoicism: wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. I actually have a coin that has those on there. So I actually, you know, I love to play with coins. I'm an old gambler. What can I say? So I have that on my desk too. And I've got one. This one's actually become my lucky one. It's a little Asian dragon. I don't know if you can see that. It's supposed to be for luck and prosperity. I don't know. Somebody gave it to me. I like it though. Good hefty coin. So there's a lot of little things you can do, especially if you have something like that. You can do the same thing with your pen. Um, Enchanting pens for your work is a great way to do it, especially if you do deal in contracts and stuff. But you can use a pen as a fidgeter too. Absolutely use a pen as a fidgeter. See, there you go. Absolutely. So many of you have noticed that I keep a pen like this in my vest. I also keep like a notebook in there, but I fidget with pens a lot. I try to do this with them, mainly because my main go-to way to fidget like annoys everyone within 10 or 15 feet of me, and that's I'm a clicker. I will click the hell out of a pen. Uh, the number of times I've been sitting there, my wife just grabbed my thumb like, stop. What? Oh, sorry. So I tried to twirl the pen. Also, it's kind of good for hand agility, if just in case you're curious. You can do the same thing too. Another thing for helping find clients or work or anything, you can actually, if you wear glasses, you can enchant those. You can absolutely do it. One thing I have done, and I was asked to help with a test and an experiment. And they came to me because they know I have no grammar when it comes to typing. I have literally given Bernaldus conniptions over my typing before, especially when we first met. So I would actually take a pair like this. These are just little blue blocker glasses for computer, and I would enchant them for, helping me spot punctuation, grammar errors, and editing. That was the entire enchantment. And I put that to practice for a couple months. And the whole idea was to take all my editing and everything, see how it was going, and then apply that to that. And it did work. It actually increased it quite a bit. I should have probably kept that going, but I'll be honest, after the data collection ended, I kind of stopped doing it. Yeah, you got to find you a good coin. Sometimes it can be hard to find a good coin. I am actually working very, very diligently to try and find a way to get us some working Dragon Mystic coins of some kind. Whether they're given away in the supporter area or won in other ways, I don't know, but we're trying to find it. We have an ideal in place. What I was looking at, would it cost me almost $20 a coin. I ain't paying $20 a coin. That's ridiculous. So, yeah, I'm trying. But yeah, it's little things like that we got to look for. Um, Lord, I didn't know that was on my desk. Check that one out. Iron Bean sent me one. You can tell I drink a lot of their coffee. Um, so take a look at your work. Take a look at what you do. Your uniform. Honestly, a lot of people's like, well, my work, I do this, or I'm digging a ditch, or I'm just hauling trash. That's fine. Look at what you wear to work. I've known many a trash man, and every one of them has work gloves they wear. Enchant the work glove. Enchant your work boots, people. Don't forget the boots. Remember, most of us men are trying to die with our boots on. Enchant the boots. Definitely enchant the boots. If there's something you wear constantly, enchant it to help you. Use it to apply magic. I'm not going to lie. I enchant the hats. I will swap out enchantments on them quite often. This one I can't, because it has a band in there, but it's so small. But some of the other ones have a much larger band in them, and I love to put sigils and stuff in the bands. If I put a sigil in this band, it's got to be on a really thin thing, and I've done it a time or two, but by and large, this one I don't tend to stuff things in the band as often. So think about things like that. Air freshener sprayers. I don't know what this one is. This one's Febreze. Okay, it's also empty. But something like this, you could enchant this with a purpose, and literally use it as like a quick little punch up of something in the environment. I be honest with you, usually writer's block or something is something I will put in an air freshener bottle. The glasses suggestion got me thinking, could you enchant your glasses or contacts for improving arcane sight? Potentially. I've tried this in different ways, and the best success I had was actually an ideal from Odin, where I actually enchanted an eye patch. And the logic he got from this is the eye patch is literally blinding one of my physical eyes in order to open me up to the other senses, my arcane senses, and that relation kind of helped. I didn't get as many good results when I was enchanting, because I wore glasses for when I started the channel, I wore glasses. I didn't get as good results. And I don't know why. So you could definitely try it. It could be the connection to the fact that I'm seeing with my physical eyes, so my physical eyes and senses are trying to just gather everything at that time in my training, so it was harder for me to kick over. I don't know. But like I said, we did have success with the eye patch, which is the exact same concept, just slightly different. So I would say that it would be a viable experiment to see if it works. Because you got to understand, what works for one person might not work for another, just because of their individual perception on something. So I would say that it's worth a shot. I didn't have good luck with it on that. I do know a few people who have done it and said they had good luck on it. So there's that. Let's see where we're at. We got about 10 minutes left. Anybody got any other questions? These have been some good ones coming in, guys. But yeah, just honestly think about what you're doing and how you're going to do it and what you're doing through the day. Another one that I know that a lot of guys at least enchant, belts. I know that belts are falling out of popularity of some of the younger kids, but honestly, a good belt's a great thing to enchant because it not only looks good, but it's something you can put with you quite easily. And one person I know, like I've used them. They got the, what are they? I think it's like a grip 6, grip something. It's a slide tension belt, but it's really easy to just purchase a buckle that slips on and off of this thing. And they're really good looking lightweight belts, but he actually purchased different colors of the belt as well as different buckles. And what he was doing was he was enchanting each color differently and each buckle differently. And he was interchanging them as he needed them for different reasons. Because the buckles just slip on and off of those things. I want to say it's Grip 6. I want to say that was the brand I got. I only ever purchased black with a gunmetal buckle, I'll be honest. I wasn't that creative. But he got really creative using the different colors and styles of buckles and everything to interchange as well as the different belts. I thought that was pretty cool. And if you're into owning that many belts, I guess you could do that. I'm literally a one belt, one pair of boots kind of guy. I'm not very complicated. So in that, he definitely wins out on me. And also, here's another one. You know, we talked about putting something in your wallet. Why not enchant your wallet for prosperity? Why not enchant your wallet for success? Why not enchant your wallet for growing your wealth? We carry them all the time, guys. Ladies, if you carry a purse, like I know my wife don't really carry a purse all that much, but practically every other woman I know carries a purse, right? And why not enchant that thing to help you in some way, right? Okay, true. I know practicing magicians with concealed carry license who enchant their concealed carry firearm for protection. They would rather it protect them and keep them from ever having to use it than use it. So they will actually enchant it for protection and safety so that they never have to pull it. Pretty cool, right? So, I mean, you can really look at your life and look at so many different things that you're doing and apply it. We get so limited sometimes on how we view things. We really do. And it baffles me sometimes because we're supposed to be the ones looking at the bigger picture. That's, you know, theoretically what mages are doing in theory. I think we're falling pretty short of that a lot of times. Like I said, you know, we'll be sick for weeks before we think to do a healing spell. So I would challenge you all to get out there and actually sit down throughout this week. If something comes up, whether it's a stressor, whether it's a problem, whatever it is, ask yourself, are you using magic? And if not, what can you try to apply to it in some way without overly changing your day to day? See, everything I've done here, for the most part, shouldn't change how you live your day. You didn't go out and buy a necklace. You didn't go out and do anything. You're enchanting your normal work clothes, your work boots, your glasses, your wallet. You're putting a piece of paper in your wallet. All these things can be done without any shift or change. Anyone outside your house, anybody who doesn't know you did the spell work would never know you done it because it's that low impact. They would never notice. And before anyone asks, when I said the eye patch, I did not wear the eye patch out in town. That's just, I feel that's rude to people who actually use eye patches. I just used it in the ritual room in my house, so just so y'all know. But yeah, the other stuff you could easily do, easily enchant, and empower and use spell working on. Empowering a water bottle that you carry with you all the time. If you're constantly one of these people that have a water bottle with you, empower that in some way to help you. You'd be surprised. It's kind of crazy. I do know someone, in fact, who's empowered a water bottle to help with their arcane senses, so that as they're sipping on it, it's constantly keeping their arcane senses more alert, keeping them more aware, so that during their day, when they try to engage them, they actually tend to kick in a little easier. And from all the data she gave me, it worked really well. It got her past a few roadblocks in developing her senses. I don't know if she still uses it to this day, but I do know that now she's really amazing with her arcane senses. I actually think she might be better than me now, which is kind of funny. That's how that goes sometimes. All right, everybody, we're going to get ready to wrap this up. I got to get into a meeting. You all have a fantastic week. I'll try and get this uploaded for the replay on YouTube soon. Again, everybody, if you are watching this on YouTube, check us out live over at the Working Dragon Mystic community. You can find us at workingdragonmystic.com or at the links below. We'd love to see you in the community. All right. And until next time, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.